this part of the world?
Well, I started in radio at 14 years old. My uncle had a radio station in WWON, Woonsocket, Rhode Island. It was a kiddie show on Sunday afternoons.
Okay.
And one day he said to me, "Would you like to come in here and have a part of this thing?" I said, "I sure would." And I fell in love with the microphone at 14 years old.
And that was up in Rhode Island?
In Rhode Island.
Okay, now how
Which
did
is
you...
a good place to be away from.
Most of the wintertime, I can appreciate that, I would think. I'm sure there must be some pretty times of the year in Rhode Island and New England.
Oh, yeah, the fall is beautiful.
When the leaves are turning and all that nice stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so from Rhode Island, what happened after that?
Well, you know, it's a long story, but I had 26 years in the military, and then I became a professor at the University of West Florida for 21 years for St. Leo College and a few other places.
Right.
But I always stayed in radio as a part-time jobby where I could fill in when I was working in the service. I would go someplace and say, "Can I be a radio announcer in the afternoon or in the evening?" So all along, for over 35 years, I was on the radio. I worked at some places in Oregon, at KRNS in Oregon.
Okay.
WFIG in Sumter, South Carolina, WFTW here, and of course WFSH, which was the old fish radio.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that was while you were stationed at Eglin then? Or after Eglin?
Yeah, after Eglin radio. I retired in '74.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then wound up over here?
Yeah.
In the Eglin area then?
Yeah, I was in Vietnam for 4 tours, and I came back. This is my last stop before I retired.
But now, during the course of your military career, then you wound up doing armed forces type radio work, I gather, sometimes.
Yeah, in 1965, we were building the base at Ubon, Thailand. And even though I was a combat controller at that time, my radio experience came in pretty handy, and the base commander wanted us to start a little radio station. So myself and a fellow by the name of Bob Morton, who is now in South Carolina, got together and sort of, there's an old saying we used to use, come short. You remember the word come short? Where
Okay.
we'd appropriate stuff that we weren't supposed to have, and we built a radio station, a 5-watt radio station in Ubon, Thailand, and it was called Station 08 in Thailand at Sunpat.
Okay.
And we broadcast there. We trained several young men to be disc jockeys, and we broadcast all day and all evening for the people coming in and out of combat areas.
And so a USO show came to the base.
Bob Hope, Christmas 1965. That was a great, great time for me because I had a chance to meet the great man. And believe me, Cal, he was a great man. The guy was so sincere in everything that he did. And I think I mentioned to you one time that, in fact, it's on the CD, that he was coming in and out, introducing the stars. Then he would go back in the back of the stage. He laid down on a cot. He was very ill that day. You could never tell.
And you are tuned to Straight Talk on the Rio News Talk 1120 WBZR, destined for Walton Beach, and of course serving all of the Northwest Florida Panhandle, and glad to have you tuned our way today. My guest in the studio with me is Chuck Anger. Actually, if I look in some notes here, he was Sergeant Rene L. Anger. Did you pronounce it Rene?
Yeah, but I don't.
You never use that, did you?
I don't mention that name too often.
See, I have a daughter, Renee, with a little after the E, which is, I think, a beautiful name, but there must have been a family name somewhere that some grandma or mama must have insisted on.
Well, the name means reborn.
Reborn?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a good name then. Inside, now, Chuck had put together kind of a little notebook that has some letters, and actually a letter from his friend Bob. And I guess you really owe this to Bob Morton for having saved some of the reel-to-reel tapes of your programming you did back in the days in Thailand.
Oh, this came in as a big surprise a few years ago. I forgot all about this thing, you know. And then he called me one day on the phone, and I couldn't recognize his voice.
ZR, Chuck Anger, my studio guest this morning. Of course, Chuck sat in this room many a time in many years back, 30-plus years ago, I guess.
1971 till 1976.
Okay. Now, what did you do after that? After you were here from radio, where did you go in career?
Well, I was taking courses at the university at the time, and finally in 1981, I got my master's degree, and I started teaching for University of Florida, Troy State, St. Leo College. So I taught for 21 years after that.
And what did you teach?
All over the area.
I mean, what subjects?
What else? Communication.
Communication. So you were the guy doing it, and training a few more of our future broadcasters and telecasters.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great. Well, we're going to go listen now to a piece of the audio. This is probably the reason you were featured on the front page of the Sunday paper is we lost Bob Hope a little over a week ago, and of course, and we don't have to go on and on, but his connection to this community was so close, so much. The Bob Hope Village people, who are great listeners of ours in the village, it's there because of really Colonel Bob Gates and Bob Hope's friendship that they developed all the way back to those days in Alaska. So here is the young Gray Fox and Bob Morton backstage now at, this was in Ubon, Thailand, and this was Christmas 1965.
So here's Mr. Bob Hope himself. Bob, how are you? Nice to see you. He's here, all of them, as a matter of fact. This is for the music hobby shop, Bob. We have a radio station that we run for the troops. Oh, fine, fine. Is this Ubon? Is that where you run? That's right. That's just kind of a fresh-looking place. That looks like a GI housing practice, huh? Well, Bob, we'll be looking forward to your show, and we're sure glad that you're here, of course. We're all really enthusiastic over this. I think that you're going to enjoy this show. I think it's I've had more talent on this show than I've ever had on any show. Last night we went on and on right into the darkness up at Park Lee. We just couldn't get finished in time. And you're going to really enjoy all these kids, especially these beautiful gals. I guess you've noticed a little of that. We've noticed a little of that, yes, sir. You have Les Brown, I'll tell you. You have Les Brown with you. I see his face every morning at 6 o'clock on my morning show. Is he with you right now? Yeah, Les is here somewhere. Yeah, I know he got off the plane, which was a great victory. How'd you like your escort? Wasn't that nice? The Aussies gave us a little Carol Baker. I'm going to get hold of her. I saw her in a Thai movie last week, Carpetbagger. She speaks wonderful Thai. Yeah, hey, sure does. We saw you speaking Thai last week. I sure did. Carpetbaggers.
Oh, yes.
You have a wonderful dialect of Thai. You know that?
Oh, really? Yes, I'm wonderful when they dub me in, aren't I?
This is Carol Baker, folks, and I'll tell you, she's even better than what she was on the screen over here. Even in America, not even Thai. Miss Baker, did you have a real nice trip?
Oh, yes, it's been so exciting. I absolutely adore it.
Oh, real fine. Well, I'm from San Francisco myself, and I've seen you many times over there performing different movies. Bob Morton, you want to say a word to Miss Baker? Miss Baker, I saw you in the Carpetbaggers also. I'm a little new at this. I'm a little radio man, but we have our own little radio station that we built here, and some of the guys are not going to be able to make the show, so we decided we'd try to get a few words with the stars.
Yes, well, you know, speaking of the Carpetbaggers, we have one joke in the show that goes over so great. At the end of my stand-up with Bob, I say to him, Bob, when are we going to do that love scene from the Carpetbaggers? And everybody cheers and whistles and says, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he says, oh, well, we decided not to do that, Carol. And I said, but Bob, we've been rehearsing it for 4 days now. And that really gets a big scream.
Well, we're really glad to have you here. The guys have really been looking forward to it since we found out that you were coming. Chuck, thanks for the assistance on the hand. Now, a little nervous, as this is new to me, but we are really thrilled to have you here. And I understand the Aussies give you a little escort as you came in.
Oh, yes, that was exciting. I was so glad I brought my own camera today, so I took some pictures. You know, that was real exciting. I also took some photographs this morning with some of the fellows, and they were shaking like you're shaking at the moment. I said, it's harder to face me than the Kong, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the truth. What's your latest movie now?
Well, actually, Harlow is my most recent film.
That's the story of Jean Harlow.
That's right. That's right.
Well, how about autographing a couple of our snapshots here for our studio?
Sure, I'll be happy to.
6 o'clock in the morning, I look at this from now on every morning instead of Les Brown. This is the Gray Fox is his radio name.
Why do they call him the Gray Fox?
Well, you can look at his hair there. But we have our, like I said, we have our own little radio station, and
now, what's the name of the radio station?
well, we call it the Music Hobby Shop.
Music Hobby Shop. Okay.
1570.
The Music Hobby Shop. I'm so hard.
It's going to be okay. That will be a very good
Oh, thanks a lot.
Nobody's going to notice this anyway. Where do you plan to go from here, Miss Baker?
Well, we go to another base this afternoon. What's the name? Korat.
Korat. You go from here to Korat.
No, we were at 2 bases yesterday. We got in back in Bangkok about 8 o'clock, and then we went to a party that General Stilwell gave us last night, and met the ambassador and his wife, and many of the top-ranking military people from Thailand and so forth.
How do you like Thailand?
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's just exquisite.
It's just kind of warm, isn't it?
Well, yes, it is warm.
It seems like Christmas over here at all this heat, doesn't it?
Oh, well, it seems like a great Christmas. I tell you, when those guys take a hold of your hand at the end of the show and say Merry Christmas and thanks for coming, I think it's the best Christmas I've ever had.
Well, this is the best Christmas we can have, too, with all you people contributing your time and your Christmas holiday to be over here with us.
I know they do appreciate it so much, and that's what makes it all worthwhile.
Mr. Hope has been well known for his Christmas tours, and we really do appreciate
it. He's great. He's never forgotten, you know, in all the years. He's just never forgotten.
Chuck, you want to say a few words? All I want to say is it doesn't have to be Christmas when you hold Carol Baker's hand here. It's a real wonderful thing, and we sure appreciate your being here, by the way, the whole troop. And we want to try to get a few more people that we haven't got so far.
Sure.
Especially I want to get this guy Brown here. I said before, I see his face every morning, so thank you very much, Miss Baker.
Thank you. Nice talking.
And then we have Carol Baker, and she won a real wonderful interview, and we haven't, we've got a few more yet to get, but we haven't had a chance to really get them yet.
I guess that was a thrilling. You guys were excited back then, weren't you, huh?
Well, now listen, one thing I want to explain. On the paper, it said that I was shaking when I was talking to Carol Baker. It wasn't me. It was Bob Morton that was shaking.
She's a pretty lady, of course, back then.
Oh, yeah.
This was probably a few years after she had done Baby Doll.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Quite a few, yeah.
Yeah, remember this Carol Baker did the Carpetbaggers. That was fairly recent when she went to see us.
Right.
She came to see us, rather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you keep talking about looking at this picture on the wall in the morning at 6 o'clock.
Les Brown.
So I guess you must have had one of his album covers up in the studio wall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you managed to finally, it was after the show was over, when you finally got a chance to chat with Les Brown and get a bit of an interview with him.
Here's Mr. Les Brown and his band Renown that's been here with the Bob Hope Show. Mr. Brown, I'm the Gray Fox. I got to see your face every morning at 6 a.m. with your theme song of Leapfrog. Leapfrog. Somebody told me about that. Yeah, I sure do. It's a real fine piece. You did a wonderful job here today. You know that was written by the same fellow that wrote In the Mood? Is that right? Right now I can't think of his name. I wish I hadn't brought it up. Oh, what is it? Joe. Anyway, the same guy that wrote In the Mood. Well, Mr. Les Brown's been out there in the hot sun. He's getting his first cool drink this afternoon, and we really enjoyed listening to his band. We've got a few more albums coming in by the Les Brown Band, by the way. Oh, good. And ours is the Music Hobby Shop, 1570 on the dial. Yeah, thank you. What did we cover? All of Northern Talent? Yeah. Or just for the... you want to tell him you want me to... It's the American, I see. It's just for the bass. Armed Forces. I see. Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Nice talking to you. Merry Christmas. Thank you. Merry Christmas from Les Brown and his band Renown. And now we're at the finale, and everybody's coming back for a cool...
And that was... You didn't get a lot of time with him, did you? They had to... Because they were busy. The show lasted how long? Couple of hours?
A couple of hours, but you know he was busy running the band and running back and forth and queuing people in and so forth. But I'll tell you what, this guy Bob Hope did more for the troops, and I served 4 tours in Vietnam, so I was in different places. But this is the only time I really got a chance to talk with him. And again, he was a great guy. He really was.
And I know that and as you mentioned, he was ill, not feeling very well at that time.
He had some kind of a bug or virus, and you would never have known it. He would come out on the stage, you know, with his golf club, and he would say a few jokes and then introduce the star, and he would go back and lay down on a cot in back of the stage.
Well, I'm sure. I've been watching your reaction, even listening to these again.
Oh, great.
The memories are great memories to have.
Yeah.
But, Chuck, we appreciate your sharing this with our listeners here. And probably there are some old-timers tuned in this morning who may have been listening when you were announcing back on the OWFSH Fish Radio as it was in the 70s here in this very building.
I hope so. I hope so.
And know that you've had a chance to also share some great time with one of the great entertainers that just has left us. Now he's making the guy up north, up above laugh, I'm sure.
Yeah, it'll never be the same up there.